Liquid love coming out of his mouth.
You can start out with nothing, and out of nothing, and out of no way, a way will be made. And that was a quote from Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, who is a former drug enthusiast, who is now a spiritual enthusiast. He had an awakening in jail. But, yeah, well, now he's really famous. I mean, he's a really well-known, incredible, talented speaker. If you've never heard him and he's anywhere near this area, or we'll all be there, but amazing. And he is a spiritual enthusiast turned badass, his own badass self. And I'm using that. I don't usually curse, and I think that's a curse. Is that a curse?
Yes. No.
Okay. All right, well, I'm cursing because the name of the book has badass in it. All right? It's the opening quote. Sometimes there are certain words that convey a feeling that other words cannot convey. And when you are being your badass self, it's like nothing else can convey that quite the same. Anyway, her book, her opening quote is what she used, Michael Beckwith's quote. And the book is called, "You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life." And that's what we're going to do here. That's what we're going to do here. And about that quote, Jen Sincero, who wrote the book, I'm gonna do some short reading from the book because I think it's really great. And there's also another word in there that you might not like if you don't curse. It's crap. So this is what she wrote in the book. "I used to think quotes like this were a bunch of crap. I also didn't understand what the hell they were talking about. I mean, not that I cared, but I was too cool. What little I knew about the self-help spiritual world, I found to be unforgivably cheesy." This is from her book. "It reeked of desperation, rah-rah churchiness, and unwanted hugs from unappealing strangers." Some people feel this way. We are a church of hugs, okay? Some people are not used to it. I wasn't used to it 30 years ago. I learned to hug and started to feel good. So it started like spreading that hugging love. Anyway, back to Sincero. "And don't even get me started on how grouchy I used to be about God. At the same time, there was all this stuff about my life that I was desperately wanting to change. And had I been able to bulldoze through my holier-than-thouism, I could have really used some help around here. I mean, overall," she says, "I was doing pretty well. So I published a couple of books, had a lot of great friends, a close family, an apartment, a car that ran, food, teeth, clothes, drinking water. Compared to the majority of people on our planet, my life was a total cream puff. But compared to what I knew I was capable of, shall we say, I was unimpressed. I always felt like, come on, this is the best I can do, really? I'm going to make just enough to pay my rent this month. Again? And I'm going to spend another year dating a bunch of weirdos so I can be in this wobbly, non-committal relationship and create even more drama? Really? Am I seriously going to question what my deeper purpose is and wallow in the misery of that quagmire for the millionth time?" It was a snore. My life was a snore. I felt like I was going through the motions of living my lukewarm life with the occasional flare-up of awesomeness here and there. And the most painful part was that deep down I knew I was a total rock star, that I had the power to give and receive and love with the best of them, that I could leap tall buildings in a single bound and could create anything I put my mind to. And, oh, what's that? I just got a parking ticket. You have to be kidding me. Let me see, that's the third time this month that I've gotten the parking ticket. And I'm gonna go right down there now and talk to them. Then, doop-de-doop bop, only to find myself a few weeks later wondering where those few weeks went, and how could it possibly be that I was still stuck in my rickety apartment eating dollar tacos by myself every night? Anyone ever have that experience? Maybe. Maybe not quite as dramatic as Sincero had, but that's what she writes in her book. And it's about really stepping into our awesomeness. And we got to figure out what that is and how to do it. And maybe you don't think that your life is a big snooze, but that there's something more that I'm missing. There's something more out there that I know that I'm supposed to step into. Anyone feel like that? I have. I have. So I love this statement from Ernest Holmes' textbook. So Ernest Holmes is founder of Science of Mind, and he wrote this: we reach out to infinity, and since we cannot encompass infinity, we shall always be expanding, always enlarging our capacity to know and to experience. So this month, while it's really hot outside, we decided to heat it up a little bit on the inside here. So that's why we are using this book as part of our summer reading. We've been using different short books to really inspire and uplift us. And today with this wild book, you are, the name of it, You Are a Badass. And today specifically focused on that book. You are a badass at making money. That sound good?
Yeah.
Sounds good to a lot of people. Some of them are not here they need to listen to this tape. All these tapes are on YouTube, by the way. So you can always look them up under my name. So these books invite us. They invite us to do just that, to experience how awesome we really are. Really tap into that uniqueness, the gifts that are within each and every one of us that perhaps usually nobody ever told us we had, or that we could access and live and embrace and really live a life that we enjoy, that brings us great joy and brings us prosperity and abundance. Why not? We each have access to unlimited resource. The good of the divine universal law surrounds us, indwells us. It's there. We say that God is abundant. We say that the universe is abundant. And are we living that? If we're not, there are ways to tap into that and really bring it into our lives and really live a life that's meaningful to us. Meaningful to us. We just need to know where to look for it. Where to look for it. So today, we hit the mother lode of infinite good, because that's what we're going to talk about. We start looking in the right places. And we're going to look in 3 very powerful places that I've entitled, Give Yourself an Allowance, Get Involved in Some Risky Business, and Mix Up a Cocktail of Creation. Okay? And when I say give yourself an allowance, I'm not talking about what you got as a child, as a kid, but rather to allow yourself to tap into the mother lode of good that the divine has bestowed upon us. It didn't just do it for a few people over here. All right? It did it for each and every one of us. We just are not aware of it. That allowance that we've been giving ourselves is very meager. When we truly do deserve to live a full life. And that's what we're talking about. In the book, Jen Sincero writes this: everybody arrives on this planet, I believe this, I really believe this, with unique desires, gifts, and talents. And as your journey through life, your job is to discover what yours are, to nurture them, and bloom into the most authentic, gleeful, badassiest self that you are. In order to do this as a human being in modern society on this planet Earth, you must be rich. Now let me clarify, she says, what I mean by rich, lest you think I'm saying your life is worthless, unless it involves a mansion or a yacht. Rich is able to afford all the things and experiences required to fully experience your most authentic life. Your desires were given to you by the divine. You came into the incarnation with these desires, this seed of wanting, of being, of becoming, implanted in you. Somehow, somewhere along the way, it was covered up with false beliefs. Things, beliefs and thoughts that just are not true about who we really are. You came in to express a purpose. And that purpose is something that is unique to each and every one. And you know when you're in the flow of living that purpose because you feel at peace. You feel that peace fill your life. You feel fulfilled, happy. Whoa, isn't that the point? To feel happy in spite of all the conditions. Because everyone's going to have conditions in their lives. Stuff is going to come up all the time. There's always something to pray about. We know this. So, on page 14 in her book, she writes, one of the biggest obstacles in making lots of money is not a lack of good ideas or opportunities or time or that we're too slovenly or stupid. It's that we refuse to give ourselves permission to become rich. We refuse to give ourselves permission. What we need to do is step into, first of all, we know that money is an energy. It is a divine energy. It is in and of itself an inanimated thing. Okay, it's currency. But it's an energy that we use, and we attach so many beliefs to that energy. So why not take away the decriminalization of money, decriminalization of those who have it? There are many people that, rich people don't think the way we do. Rich people this and that. It's like, no, no, no. And a lot of scripture has been used against this in this regard. And if you remember the quote, it's easier for a camel to get through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to get into heaven. I mean, that's in scripture. Or about money is the root of all evil. How about that? Store, this one I just don't even get. Store your treasure in heaven. That means delay. Delay your joy right here, right now. No. Does anyone have any quote that plays in their life or that they've heard around money? Something about it's not good, because that's basically a lot of us. Anyone grow up hearing this?
Yeah.
You know, strive for this, and you know, not good enough. It all stems from that not good enough thing.
Hard.
What was that?
You gotta work hard.
You gotta work hard. I'm gonna talk about that too.
Income.
Yeah, you gotta work hard. I dispute that. What I do, I hardly feel like I work. It's the flow of life, and it's beautiful, and it's joyous, and it's loving. Why not? A theater graduate over there is going to follow his passion. So you know right from here that he is going to have a joyous life. Now, might have stuff come up. We all do. but he's at least starting out with the seed of his God-given talents being expressed. So I salute you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I do. So this is something for us to look at too and affirm that money is energy, money is good. Money fills my life with infinite potential. Think of it. To be rich, Mary Morrissey, whose class we'll be teaching in December, she does have Prosperity Plus 3. So we will be moving into a brand new prosperity class in December. Talks about that, about arriving at the green, growing edge of becoming something so much more than we could ever imagine. So Holmes tells us in his book, it is the nature of the universe to give us what we are able to take. It cannot give us more. It has given all. We have not yet decided to accept the greater good. So it's all within us. Even when we think that we are accepting it, I'm open and receptive to all the good the universe has to offer to me, there are still subconscious beliefs that are blocking that good, that we consciously try to eliminate by introducing. That's why affirmations are so strong, by introducing new concepts. An affirmation is a new thought. So by continuously, when those thoughts come up that cause us anxiety and fear, to replace it and keep replacing it until that becomes our belief. I'm worthy of all the good that I can accept. So it's time to give yourself an allowance by making it okay to be abundant, by making it okay to have money, or by making it okay to be rich. It's amazing how many people push that away. And sometimes we have lots of money coming into our lives, but because these beliefs are in operation, we might accumulate a lot of debt. So that debt looks like we're always struggling to pay it off. And so we don't have enough money. We never have enough money because there is a belief that's operating that truly we must get to the root of, to eliminate it so that we can allow that good to fill our lives. Money is good to experience life with. To be able to, if you want to go on a cruise somewhere, or if you want to do any retreat or something that limits you with your bank account being this small, then that's the point right there. That's what money is good for. It's good for allowing us to live out our dreams, our pleasures. That's it. That's it. And so in her book, she also writes, we've been raised to believe that you have to work hard to make money. And certainly there are times when this is true. But the real secret is you have to take huge, uncomfortable risks. You have to do stuff you've never done before. To make yourself visible, to acknowledge your own awesomeness, to risk looking stupid. You must not only admit to desiring and commit to creating wealth, but most important, you must allow yourself to do so. Taking risks is uncomfortable, but it's the kind of discomfort that's equal parts eek and hell yeah. I didn't write this. Fear and excitement are two sides of the same coin. And that is precisely, she says, the kind of discomfort I'm talking about, otherwise known as a rush. It's critical. Thinking, thrilling discomfort of living large and in charge. So I like that last line. It's about living large and in charge. And you know, living large doesn't mean you have to have a ton of money. Living large is being filled with joy. There's so much good that we have in our lives. And practicing that attitude of gratitude is key to really living large, to living a fulfilled life. And so what risk are we willing to take? What risks in life? Most of life is change. And we stay in that comfort zone because we don't like change, because it's scary. It's scary. But with change comes all the opportunities to express our good. So some of the changes, the big ones that came to mind really quick in my life were the first big change. Well, I had a lot of ones before that. The biggest change was when I decided that at 15 I was leaving home. And I left my mother behind in California, moved back to Manhattan. That was a big risk. Beautiful unfolding took place. Was it all easy? No. But you know what? It was worth the alternative. Starting a spiritual center, I didn't realize it was a risk. I still don't feel like it's a risk. I feel like it's God just pulling me and everyone that comes in contact with Joyful Gathering into a greater way of expressing community. And my life is all about community. Community is very important to me. So there again, it's been 9 years now, doing something okay. How about this? Going on a dating site. Talk about a risk. Well, that was after I forgot, I skipped right over the 42-year marriage that I left. That was a big shift, just walking out the door saying, see ya. And it's starting for the first time in my life, living alone. That was a big risk. Great good came from it. Great good came from being on that dating site. Even though I didn't see that many people. The one, I lucked out, because I got a good one. But without the risk, without listening to people, oh, your age, all this stuff that people say. Well, you know, to me, and I've said this before, is God is the source of all good. But there are infinite channels. And when I went to end that account, it was like I'm shutting off a channel. So I'm really grateful that I didn't shut off that channel. So there are many different risks we take in life, big, little, small, whatever you want to call them. But I just know that whenever I've stepped out and used these spiritual truths that we teach here, it all unfolded for my highest good. It all unfolded for the greatest changes in my life. So I'm embracing, not afraid of risks, but embracing those risks, those stepping out of our comfort zone. Because it's not comfortable to do any of those things I just said. But it was necessary to live a life of good, to accept more good into my life. And so finally we have the cocktail of creation. The perfect cocktail of creation has only two ingredients: giving and receiving. That law of circulation. To be in that law of circulation is key to living not only a life of harmony, but in manifesting our great good. So a colleague of mine, Reverend Karen Russo, has written a very cool little book, and it's called Grow Yourself, Grow Your Wealth, Prosperity Practices for Faith and Focus. And she offers us two really powerful practices. And you know, I'd like to give us tools so that we can really use what we hear here in life. So this is what she created: Money Monday and Faithful Friday. On Money Monday, you focus on giving. And on Faithful Friday, you focus on receiving. Because you must receive also. And I've heard of a lot of people that push away receiving, and that's blocking the law of circulation from operating. You can't operate unless you can accept that good in its every form. And here's how it works. Money Monday So we spend 10 to 20 minutes on Monday focusing on giving money and giving attention, giving both. So in giving money, tithing is a spiritual practice that expands our consciousness of abundance and oneness. It really does. It makes us step out and go, oh, that's why those prosperity classes are so good. Carol's been in nearly every one of them, if not all of them. And she's living a very prosperous life. But to give and to be able to give with love. So you take Money Monday and you think about what you gave to, how it made you feel, how it uplifts you. That's all part of the giving, because if you can't give with gratitude, then don't give at all. That's not giving. You must give fully. It's like giving a gift and expecting, especially, I'm dating myself, but from the younger generation, thank you notes or calls or texts, because you give and you just give. You give a gift. You don't know if they got it or not. You don't know if they like it or not, but you gave it. It brought you joy, hopefully, to purchase the gift, thinking of that person. You give it. And so that's what you reflect on Money Monday. And then giving attention. You give attention on Money Monday. Spend time giving attention as follows. Set and review with feeling your money purpose statement. If you don't have one, you should write one. So journaling is also great to have when you're doing these two practices, to review the purpose of why you even want money. And it shouldn't be just to pay the rent, just to pay the bills. It should be more expansive. So review that and review your specific goals, short and long term, if you are a goal-directed person. I myself set intentions. So I have intentions that I would like to fulfill. So I review them. I feel them as if they have already occurred. And that brings me to an elevated, expanded consciousness, which is allowing more of the good in. And that moves us then to Faithful Friday. So again, on Fridays, spend 10 to 20 minutes doing 2 rounds of reflection. One on receiving results and the other on giving results. Focus on that whole attitude of gratitude. Allow the gratefulness to fill your heart, because receiving results is part of, whenever we see a manifestation from what we really desire, for me anyway, it brings me great joy. It brings me it makes a smile on my face. You know, sometimes a client will call up and say, you can't believe what I just manifested. You know, maybe we did prayer on it. And that just makes my whole day. So as we progress in our goals, in our intentions, hold that attitude of gratitude in your heart and receiving value. That's the second part of the Faithful Friday. Reflect on how you are growing in consciousness, how you are expanding in consciousness, how you are taking these different, what we call risks, changes, and stepping out into them, and how it feels after you've done it. Because it usually is uplifting, usually. And if it's not, it's because it didn't turn out the way we expected it to in our minds. When God's good is so much bigger than anything that we can encompass in our minds. So stop throughout the week, every day. This isn't every day. This isn't from the book. This is from me. Because I'm a big believer, and I think most of you are, in gratitude, in giving thanks, in feeling what it feels like to be grateful. Because we truly do have so much. We really do. And to the smallest thing. a flower that just bloomed, you know, giving gratitude for that. It's an elevating consciousness and vibration. So in conclusion then, to give yourself an allowance. And that's opening up to the greater good. Opening up to all the good and listening when we hear, this is what we do. When we take, and then to the next one, the risk. When we step out, taking a risk is stepping out of our personal comfort zone. So when we step out of that zone, no matter what takes place, being grateful that we took that opportunity. We can't change unless we're ready to grow. And then the cocktail of creation, the giving and receiving. So living in that law of circulation, really being it, really believing it, really giving from your heart and receiving in gratitude. So you have Money Monday and you have a Faithful Friday. So those are two tools that you can use to create a life where you can live. This is just part of the whole month of living your badass self, which really means your awesome self, the incredible self of who you are. That's what I'm talking about, just living it, doing it, take that risk, be that joy. And I know it will work out for all of us. So it is. Woo!